abused their official position, and had a lot of fun. Sins of some Soviet officials. Greetings. Today, we will talk about the Soviet elite that lived under Joseph Stalin. And most importantly, we will deal with several high-profile scandals involving officials of the USSR. It is true that more than 40 members of the Communist Party rented a city apartment and set up a real brothel there. Who of Stalin's inner circle had fun with a ballerina right at his workplace? Is it really known case when a negligent politician had an interest in underage girls? And what was the resulting punishment for Soviet officials? Be sure to watch the video to the very end so as not to miss anything important and interesting, gathered all together to have fun to the fullest. Of course, we would like to believe and hope that the Soviet government is a clear example of integrity and honesty of political figures. However, strange things happened in practice, especially after the election of Joseph Vissarionovich Stalin as secretary of the CPSU Central Committee. It is no secret that the ambitions of Soviet officials were growing from year to year. Only now, some of them finally realized about their influence on the life of the people. The negligent elite of the USSR was repeatedly seen in high-profile scandals. Well, let's talk about the first of them. Most likely, you are unlikely to have heard of the Astrakhan case. Its essence is that several senior officials rented an apartment in the city belonging to a certain Alexieva. This woman held a post in the Bolshevik Party. But the leaders did not just settle in the apartment to discuss important political issues. They set up a real brothel there. Subsequently, they were joined by members of the Communist Party, the number of whom amounted to at least 40 people. In the apartment, the men drank hot drinks, amused themselves with ladies, and then invited the Nepovites. While drunk, the politicians not only sang songs, but also joined in acts of debauchery. And then some of the officials climbed onto the roof of the house and amused themselves there with women of easy behavior. It is quite natural that the surrounding people found out about such outrage. A serious investigation was launched against all those responsible. In addition, it turned out that the secretary of the Provincial Executive Committee by the name of Ziavaruk was guilty of numerous thefts of large sums of money. This fact became the starting point and finally decided the fate of immoral political figures. Solitude with women in the workplace. You certainly know firsthand that Stalin had quite a lot of friends and acquaintances. They formed his inner circle for many years to come. Among these people were quite a lot of envious people who wanted to displace the political leader and take his place. Enukidze was among them. Enukidze began his political career with the fact that he got a job in the Central Executive Committee of the USSR. In parallel, the man maintained friendly relations with many political figures, including with Joseph Jugashvili himself. But soon, Abel realized what power is and what advantages it can give. Except that there is one but. The official decided to slightly abuse his official powers. So in his free time, Abel Enukidze, together with his comrades, began to visit many public places. But most of all, the politician was interested in theatres and ballets. It was there that there were charming ladies performing numbers. After performances, Enukidze waited for women and offered them to follow him. The latter, of course, trusted the official as he provided all documents confirming his identity and high social status. Then such companies of people who did not know each other went straight to the Kremlin. In other words, to the workplace of Abel Enukidze. He first held pleasant conversations with the girls and then offered them something more. I'm sure you've already guessed what we're talking about. In addition, the man could treat naive ladies with hot drinks and then get alone with them for the whole night. And that's what happened. In the case of ballet, the situation is exactly the same. There was a case when Enukidze decided to wait for one of the ballerinas, and when she had already left and was on her way home, the politician suddenly stopped her. After that, he also introduced himself and offered to talk to her, and this time the girl agreed. The couple, as it should be, followed to the Kremlin. Abel showed the ballerina his workplace. In this room, the girl demonstrated all her talent. For example, a magnificent stretching. Later, Enukidze called one of his secretaries to bring alcohol into the office. After drinking alcoholic beverages, Ballerina has already demonstrated her body in full glory. To be more precise, she took off everything unnecessary. Then the couple secluded themselves, and later, the girl finally went home. We also draw your attention to the fact that Abel Enukidze thought everything through in advance. He also took care of his own safety in advance. After all, in case of anything, the official would be accused to the fullest extent. That is why Enukidze presented young ladies with money and expensive gifts so that they would not tell anything unnecessary to others. Special interest in underage girls. And now we will deal with another incident related to the political activity of a Soviet official. It's about Boris Gunko-Gorkun. This negligent official went to great lengths for the sake of power. First, Gunko-Gorkun pulled a scam and thereby pretended to be a member of the All-Union Communist Party, B. In view of the fact that the record of such a deceiver was quite a few years, and Gunko-Gorkun himself claimed to be a former Bolshevik and a veteran of the Civil War, he had access to many privileges. The official received large cash allowances on his account. He could travel for free on public transportation as well as use vouchers to a sanatorium. Secondly, the man had a special interest in girls under the age of majority. Gunko-Gorkun this time took advantage of his position and once again began to mislead others. He presented himself to the Soviet people as a supporter of Leninism and assured that he could give quality education to future generations. And worst of all, they really believed him. No wonder that underage girls from orphanages were given to the negligent official for upbringing. He molested the children and then, as if nothing had happened, gave them back. Punishment for the Soviet elite. Would you agree that all of the above cases of misconduct of officials should have been of interest to the investigative authorities? Besides, some atrocities really indicate the bad faith and immorality of a person. Let us finally find out how such political figures were dealt with. And of course, the most common type of punishment is imprisonment. In the case of the brothel and the underage girls, all the guilty parties received the punishment they deserved. But in the case of Abel Enukidze, who seduced women right at his workplace, the situation is quite different. This politician was sentenced to capital punishment, firing squad. This event took place in 1937. You will ask, why exactly shot and not sent to the appropriate places of deprivation of liberty? It's simple. During several years of his service, it turned out that Enukidze was planning an assassination attempt on Stalin himself. Abel was taken for a traitor and thus got rid of him once and for all.